Good afternoon. So I hope you enjoy the lectures. I will continue very soon, just after I hold this video. Regarding the situation in this apartment, I would say that it was never like that. I mean, I try to kind of like take it as good news. It was never like that. I mean, even like in the first month, April, May, June, when I mean, the people, I mean, the cell consists of people that were, I mean, far more, I mean, overtly like evil and cruel. Of course, they are all puppets, I mean, but I mean, within the puppets, the taxidermy, they were like, the evil puppets, like, Chucky, But what's going on right now is explicit threats, I mean, of violence and rape. That's something that never happened. Like, I mean, they actually, I mean, threat to rape me, No, it's speaking to me directly, and not like in all sorts of, like, indirect ways, and it's happened many times, doing even today and yesterday, and it's something that, I mean, of course, this, I mean, it doesn't even, it's not even characteristics of like, I mean, I would say, moderately to sophisticated mafia. I mean, it's something, and certainly not to any kind of thing that resembles intelligence organization. It's very low. It's the low end of the mob. And of course, I mean, stupid behavior and I mean, counterproductive from my perspective, because I mean, if they could have just, I mean, threatened me with overt violence, they could have done it 30 years ago. The whole, I mean, the whole game of my life from their perspective, that they know that they cannot just, I mean, murder me because they need me. And and in somewhere in the back of the head they remember, I mean, all the people that already, I mean, died. So I mean, and even though they try to forget it, I mean, they don't manage to completely forget it. So I mean, that's, I mean, the rules of the game from their perspective, that, I mean, they cannot just, I mean, murder me, but they can, I mean, torture me in any kind of way, and of course, I mean, steal everything from me, and mostly, use this psychological mechanism, the very complicated, magic that they have, that is taken directly from, like, מעריב לנוער, התשמ"ב, חשבן התשמ"ב, מעריב לנוער. So yeah, I mean, that's what they do. But I mean, now, I mean, it's obviously something very different. I mean, you just, I mean, they threaten me without any kind of, like, like low end of the mobsters. And I take it as good, like, news. I mean, first of all, of course, I mean, what's obvious, and I spoke about it quite a bit already, that, I mean, they have no operators, or they operate themselves. I don't know if it's even possible in the intelligence world, or the zombies are operating the zombies. I don't know if it's possible in the intelligence world, or, I mean, all the kind of, like, I mean, titans, or just, I mean, Homo sapiens operators that have any kind of, like, stand in the, I wouldn't say quality, because they don't have any qualities, but I mean, they have any kind of position in the organization, are all dead or very sick because of the neo-apocalypse. And what's left is just, I mean, the bottom of 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 the barrel. That's what I mean, I interpret from the situation, because this is something that I have not happened to me throughout my life. Like, I mean, and I'm surrounded by these cells all my life. But things like that, I mean, you go to the kitchen, and I mean, and I mean, something that you didn't even speak with, you just get out of his room, of course, almost completely naked, because that's their uniform, and threat to rape you, and speak with another guy, like, how they're going to rape you, I mean, and leave no evidence. I mean, it just happened to me, I mean, 2 or 3 hours ago, and I mean, I mean, this is not even the Shabak. Like, I mean, as low end intelligence organization as they are, it's not even them. Like, I mean, it's something else. It's ruins of, like, this is like, I mean, it's like a ruined organization. I mean, completely ruined. I mean, that, again, I don't know how. I'm not a person from any intelligence community, and I don't know if it's even possible that they operate themselves. They have no operator. I don't know if it's even possible, or maybe the zombies operate them. I don't know if they can do it. I mean, certainly it's not the usual operator. Certainly more than ever. I mean, it's something else. Like, it's something completely different, and of course, counterproductive and stupid, and I mean, there is no like lower than that. I mean, after you get out of the room, they actually, all the says like directly, I mean, no, not even like in indirect way as they do sometimes. Like, in the most direct way, I mean, without even being speaking to them, like telling like, we're going to rape you, I mean, and we're gonna fuck you in the ass, and without no evidence, you will be you can't prove anything. I mean, people that just miss, I don't even know their names. Like they're all new. I mean, almost all of them are very new. It's kind of a new cell. It's made mostly from like high schoolers, or people just shortly after high school. I would say, like they look very young, like more than ever. So this is the situation, and yeah, again, I try to interpret it as good news. As this is the Chiblei Mashiach, it's like the last, like, the last of the farce, like, the last of the farce. No lower than that is possible. Now, what I wanted to actually do now is to address like a scientific issue, not related to anything that I've spoken about just now, or just, following the Microsoft examination of yesterday. Just, the reason for me holding this lecture is that, you understand now that I had, I record my song like for many years now, and like 3 or 4 years, and then it's more, and I have thousands of videos, and you don't know, what will be like, helpful in the future, and you see for yourself that, most of you are new listeners, and you see that, yes, it's like, it's of benefit, like, to with all the modesty, I think that my life story and my life, like, what happened to me the last couple of years, and in general, are of some interest, if not to people now, then maybe in the future, and also more than everything to me. And this is true both, like, with regards to politics or history or religion, but also, of course, to science. So if I have kind of like a science like thought, I can try to record it, when it's still fresh, so me not forgetting it, even if it's kind of like, it's not, seems like, out of place within, the stream of events of the apocalypse, and the threats of rape, and the fact that they have no money at all. But yes, I had like the difficulties all my life, but it's important to document your thoughts, especially with regards to science. So I'll address like very short issue, and then we'll get back to the recordings. So yesterday, so first of all, yes, the halva was almost empty of Neros, which was completely not what to be expected, but it's most probably because it was completely white. And yes, in the past when I've done it, in my mother's apartment and also here, as I've shown you, like in the community post that I've uploaded, it was never white. It was always all sort of like, Hanukkah candles and regular white candles. And for a reason, because I remember that, it's like, if it's completely white, it means death. It's kind of, it's like in order to the Neros to kill all life forms and then to commit suicide, which is what they've done. But what we've seen actually is something that I want to address. I was reminded of that because the issue of the Little Prince. It's reminded of it's mentioned in one of the videos that everybody's saying it's a hat, and I say the Little Prince says no. It's like it's a huge snake that is devouring a lamb. So which of course, the heads are, these are the heads, the people that are paid, presumably to guard me, and no, they are not heads. They are snakes that devour a lamb, the lamb of God. But this actually reminds me of something. Remind me of a scientific point. So what we've seen we've watched 2 samples that were taken from the burning crucibles, where there were Neros, because I've added Neros, from the alien container, from the metal aquarium. Like, after what, I've burned several times the crucibles and like lighted the environment, and after like the 2 or 3 first times, I've added water from the container, water that was not, dissolved in the halva. So they contain Neros, of course. That's why you see Neros over there. And what you already also see is Neros quite big, that were yellow in the inside, or like golden yellow on the inside, but they were contoured, like they were not like the perfect round shape. And I've told you that, I mean, yeah, we've seen it in the past, and if you follow me like for a long time, you've seen quite a bit of those. And that they are not dead or something. They are like, I mean, it's we've seen this, and then generally after some time, I mean, they get like back to shape, like into the regular shape. And then it's, I mean, the neuron doesn't always need to be completely like, perfect round in order to be, I mean, quote unquote alive. They don't like me, by the way, to say that they are alive. But they from their perspective, it's kind of like, I mean, a derogatory term. I mean, they are expert they're like, I mean, the supreme expert in the like, on the topic of life. They know life, like they create life, mutant life, zombify life form, and they know, they have memory of like, knowledge of life forms. I mean, for many planets. But I mean, for them, it's like it's a profession. Like, I mean, but I mean, they don't like to sometimes I say this is a living Nero or a dead Nero because I mean I don't have another word. I mean like to say, I mean like it's like it's like, I mean it's in working condition. I mean it's like online, like I mean active. I mean just active is not a good word because I mean because they cannot resurrect. Like I mean if they're dead, and we've seen dead ones and we've seen them actually dissolve. We've seen like graveyards of Neros. I mean so it's not that they haven't seen like I mean. Anyway, they don't like they don't like it. I mean, from their perspective, they are not alive, and they even like I mean, and they also say that I'm not alive, and this is like sometimes I kind of like I mean, I'm upset about it because I think that I am alive, but I mean they think that I'm not. But I mean, maybe from their perspective, it's a compliment. I don't know. My problem is not that people, I mean, say that I'm alive or they say that I'm not alive. My problem is that I live in a Nazi state. I mean, set me free from this hell and call me whatever you want. Call me Jesus, call me, like, Kishkashta. I don't care. I mean, just set me and get us out of this hell, me and my daughters. But there's a question that I want to address, which is, first, what is like the yellow belly? And second, why what can cause them to be contoured? Like not perfect shape, not round. So I thought about it, and it was regarding the little prince, and then the snake. So first of all, I would say that the yellow bellies or the golden bellies were known, and they were documented in his blog. I mean, this channel. I mean, right from the start, right from January. And in the beginning, it was actually a big question for me. Like, I mean, I've seen like tremendous amount of like the Neros with the golden belly, and it was actually one of the main question of this channel for some time. I mean, what does it even mean? But actually, my first theories on the matter were proven to be wrong. I had lots of theories that I recorded, and they were. I mean, not every suggestion that I suggest is true. I mean, many things are falsified, which is this is science. I mean, you present theories and they are falsified. Yes, it's part of the process. So, I mean, many theories on this regard from January, February were just proven false. And I'm not going to repeat it because it's of no great significance. But, I mean, it was obvious to me that it happens more when they are on the vicinity of microbes. And this happens, I mean, initially it happens when I place them like on the vicinity of dead flies, or dead beetles. I mean things down. They are not microscopic, but I mean obviously I mean you can find germs like in the vicinity of the body. So and we actually seen germs inside. I mean this was one of the we've seen germs inside the yellow bellies, and so and also should be said that I mean sometimes when you watch them, it's not just one. I mean it's a many like of them like together. Like it's kind of like a social phenomenon, and that you can actually detect just the bellies, just the pools. And sometimes after time you see them dissolve. Like I mean the pool dissolves. Anyway, I left this question like unanswered for a couple of months, and after a couple of months I've kind of returned to it, and my last assessment of the issue, and I still think it's probably true, even though most probably it's true, is that it's kind of it's the fact that and also with time we've seen not only the yellow and golden bellies, but also red bellies and blue bellies, but this is far less common. It's like 1 in like 10,000. But when it's there, it's easy to actually detect it because you see a tremendous amount of golden bellies and just a red belly, and so even if it's 1 in 10,000, I mean you watch, I mean it's actually very easily detected under the microscope. if you ask, I mean, how can you, if it's only 1 in 10,000, how can you watch it? Because I mean, we see the phenomenon, it's like we have a tremendous amount of them, and I mean, so it's very obvious. First of all, just I mean to clarify, in no way this is related to what I call the yellow Neros, the red Neros, and the brown Neros. Because I speak about quite a bit in this channel. Just saying, what I call the yellow, the red, and the browns, it's some nicknames, color code that I invented. I mean, the yellow Neros are my own robots. The red Neros are what is generally what you call the T, which is the Neros that are created inside the female body of the Venusians, of the Titans. And the brown ones are what you call are the Neros of the male Venusians. And what you call the T is almost always the red Neros. Even though in the past it was a delicacy, like in the 40s in Israel, it was a delicacy, like I mean, to mix the brown and the red ones. Like you know, it's like it was like a snowball, you know, of cocaine and heroin together. But they are not. It cannot be found now. So generally, what you call the T is the red ones. But they are not really red. They're actually all black and silver, but I mean, just a nickname, okay? So what are these bellies? So the conclusion, and I've reached the conclusion after some time, is that it's just them feeding when they eat, because they can get energy from all sorts of ways. They can be, they can, you can energize them on all sorts of ways. But one of the ways is just that they feed on a liquid that contains, I mean, either very small microbes, and actually this was documented in the channel. It's very nice to see it actually, or like I mean, like the blue liquid, which is like I mean, which is shredded life forms. Like I mean, you can see it. I mean, now I cannot show you it because, but in the past I had like I mean battles that are like pretty narrow and tall relatively, with transparent, and you could have seen like I mean layers, like I mean, and there's like the blue layer is kind of like I mean, it's like I mean heavily plankton like layer, but it was created by them themselves, like after months, like on the ecosystems. They shred the microscopic life forms, and there is like a plankton layer, so they eat it. And this is actually one of the, it's like a delicacy for them. How do I know that? Because I mean, in these like places you've seen the biggest and the most like the tremendous amount of Neros. So I mean, I understand. I guess they like to eat it because they multiply and grow tremendously in this layer. Now, so the yellow and the golden bellies are just, I mean, that's just a digestive fluid. And after they finish the meal, they just leave the digestive fluid. That's why you see the golden. Sometimes you just see the golden. When there are many golden bellies, you can also see just, I mean, the golden, like just the bellies, you know. That is, for my understanding, is just, I mean, the Nero finishes the meal and just to keep the digestive, like, pull it. There, and after some time, you actually see it like this, like, like it starts like a round, and then it's kind of like, dissolves. Now, what we've seen in these videos, maybe it's something like that, because, I mean, we've seen many contoured Neros with the golden belly, but they were not, at least, I mean, mostly they were not in the Stargate position. Like, I mean, what I call the Stargate position is when when you see very well that it's a portal. I have some amazing still shot of this. Actually, this is one of the main, some of my greatest, like, photographs are those that, I mean, you actually see that, I mean, like, I mean, it's you see the most great, the best, it's kind of like a most dramatic, like the Stargate position, when on two occasions. I mean, one is that if the Nero is kind of like in a dark medium, but there is like a ton of light that shines through it. Like, this is actually resembles some science fiction like representation of a Stargate. That, I mean, something that lights like a channel of, like, I mean, like a tube of light. And actually you can see quite a bit. And this is actually, I mean, this is greatly seen, when the medium is dark. It's like a floating, like in a pretty dark liquid, but it's like all the light shines through it, which is amazing. But it's even more like interesting when there is like the object inside, like is very recognizable. Like, I mean, you can see it very well. Like, there is an issue of focus, because I mean, it's not the same focus for what on the inside or the outside. I mean, you can see that when you change the focus, I mean, it's not changed like in the same, like, proportions. But sometimes you catch like the object inside in very focused, but you see that it's like, I mean, kind of like, I mean, like I mean, thinking like about this frame, like I mean, as a target. So you don't see all my hand, but I mean, it's obvious to you that I mean, it's not that it's just these fingers. I mean, that there is a hand like over there. So on the outside you see completely different things, and this is kind of like another kind of like I mean, basic I mean, a representation or image of the starting position that I mean, you see something completely different like on the inside than on the outside, and I mean, I have there are many thousands of such things that are documented in this channel. But I mean, sometimes I mean, what it's most like lovely, lovely like when they are big, and then when I mean you catch like and when both the inside and the outside are in focus, which is kind of like I mean something that you cannot like I mean direct. I mean it just happens. I know it's luck, mostly luck. But what's obvious is that it wasn't the case in these golden bellies. That I mean, and now, but by the way, how do you know that they are not in the starting position, the target position? I mean, so I mean, just I mean, when if you see like an object, that I mean, you see that part of it is outside of the Nero, part of it the inside. So it's obvious that I mean, the Nero is above him. So you can say maybe he's above the Nero, perhaps, but mostly they like to be on top of things because I mean, they want to be on top. Yeah, I know sex references. Yes. But I mean, just because I mean that's how they do the stuff. I mean they actually how they interact is an amazing question, but I don't know. Like, do they have like a chainsaw, like a lathe that is rotating, or maybe electricity, maybe ions? I don't know. Like, this is a huge question that I have no kind of like I have no empirical like tools to actually evaluate. But I mean, what you can see, like I mean, from like from experience, that I mean, what they do when they want to interact with something is they go over like above him. Another question is that can they interact with something like remotely, like they speak with each other remotely, or they know. But I mean, from my experience, I mean that's not what's happening. When they want like to do something to something, like when they want to kill a microbe or to eat it or whatever they want to do it, they just go on top of it. And so mostly when it happens, I mean, so mostly when you see an object like kind of like intersecting it with a Nero, I mean it means that the Nero is above him, and that is of course it's not the target position because it's what's inside is what's on the outside. So I mean, what we've seen yesterday is Nero's not in the target position. So I mean, all of this leads me to think that what we've seen is actually golden bellies that are feeding on all sorts of stuff that are in the inside. Now, the fact that it was taken from the fiery crucible doesn't mean that they have nothing to eat. Not at all. First of all, there are life forms that exist inside the fire. The demons, and this phenomenon was widely documented in this channel. Like, there is a whole class of like synthetic life forms that are doing very well inside the fire, unless it's too hot. I mean, after several fires, I mean, very strong of turpentine, even like them, the demons are dying. But I mean, we've seen like a whole new kind of like, class of like microbes, and arguably, I would say not only the Full Metal Jacket, like the wasp is also belongs to the demonic I would say kingdom of animals. Because it's also, I mean, was created in the crucible, and it also has tremendous like fire resistance. So I would say it also belongs to the demons. But what I call the demons is actually, they are not like supernatural beings or ghosts. What I call the demons is just microbes of all sorts that are created in the crucible, of course created by the Neros, and they have tremendous fire resistance, much more than carbon-based life forms that from Earth, but not unlimited fire resistant. I mean, after several, I mean, when you really when after like several experiments, when they added more oil and then turpentine, and like it was totally completely wasted it like with napalm. I mean, you've seen them, they die. But the Nero don't. The Nero have much better fire resistance. I don't know to what extent. Maybe they can live inside the sun. I don't know. The fact that they are lost when we burn the medium. So actually, it's a question. I don't know what happened to them. I mean, in practice, they are lost because I cannot use it. I mean, they're gone. But what actually happened to them, I don't know. Like if I burn like in the medium when they exist, I don't know what actually happens to them. Not necessarily that they are burned. I mean, I would suggest that they are not, because when there is enough, I mean, when there is enough, when when there is like when like in case, I mean, again, in the crucible experiment, when I've done it like in a big crucible, and there was enough oil and wax inside of it, like, I mean, and I didn't like burn it all the way. Like I burned like only, like 15 minutes, and there was still much left. So even though the fire was very, very hot with turpentine, still, I mean, we've seen tremendous amount of neurons actually in very good shape and very big ones. So they were kind of like, I mean, they had fine, they are doing great inside the heat. The problem is not the heat. The problem is that when I burn the medium, I mean, in practice, I mean, I don't know where they go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a question. Like, I mean, just in practice, I mean, they're gone. I mean, because I don't have the medium. Like, I don't know where they are. Maybe they, I don't know. I mean, in practice, I mean, they're not there. You hear the zombies screaming. Yes, I mean, that's what they like to do, to scream. Anyway, I mean, first of all, they can eat the demons, and second, they don't have to eat life forms. I think, I mean, they eat other stuff as well. I mean, we've seen them eat all sorts of things. So maybe they eat the wax. I don't know what they eat, or they eat the burned, the burned cellulose with the wax. I mean, I mainly use it as wicks, like, I mean, as threads for the fire. I use toilet paper, so it's mainly of cellulose. So maybe they just, I mean, eat the burnt cellulose with the wax. I mean, that's what they eat. So I would suggest, what we've seen is that, again, the phenomenon of the yellow bellies that are eating stuff, and maybe the fact that they are contoured is something to do with that. Maybe I mean, maybe in order to eat something, and this is the little prince, the heads, as you just hear, you hear the heads. These are the heads. It's just, I mean, snakes that are eating a lamb. That's what we've seen. So I mean, this is kind of like just a theory. But I mean, I thought about it today, and I've thought that it's important enough to to document that. Maybe in the future we'll have like more evidence that is verified, maybe falsified. I don't know, but I mean, it's kind of like a theory that will explain. I mean, what we've seen yesterday. That, I mean, it was nothing new, but I mean, it's still, I mean, kind of like a question, like why they are contoured, and why they have this golden belly or yellow belly. So let's get back to the lectures.